You can't rely on them forever. If you're lacking them, go back to your roots. Hi, hello, and welcome back to a podcast where we talk about rediscovering life in our 30s, all the chaos and everything in between. I also just now realized, welcome to the chaos, I apparently took out my nose ring and I still haven't put a new one back in. Life, when you've had a nose ring for close to 2 decades, I'm a few years shy of 2 decades since I got my nose ring, I apparently took it out in my sleep. No idea where it went. I was staying in a hotel. Anyways, just noticed it's not there. I need to go put it back in because it's going to bother me. Anyways, welcome to chaos, I guess. Welcome to chaos and fuckery. We are going to talk about something that I have been struggling with for probably 4 or 5 years now. And I go through phases. It's not all the time that I deal with this. But it is something that I go through pretty regularly. And that is lacking motivation or inspiration to do just about anything you enjoy. And I'm not saying this from a depresso bean kind of perspective, because I do go through that too. That is something I was diagnosed with long ago. I do have general depression. I also think, personally speaking, based on the way my version of reality goes sometimes, I do believe that I have kind of reversed seasonal. Because I live in Florida, I get really, really unmotivated and inspirational. No, I just get really unmotivated and kind of deep into the pits where I will bed rot a lot in the summer. And I think that's mostly just because it's so obnoxiously hot and rainy here that it just feels miserable. There is no fun to be had in Florida in the summer, realistically. So I'm not talking about it from that perspective, because that is a whole different realm of things that I am not qualified to talk on, because some people need to be medicated for that, some people don't. Some people can deal with it in holistic methods, some people can just say, suck it up, buttercup. I have learned of ways to cope with it, both unhealthy and healthy, because I didn't realize I was doing it when I was unhealthily coping it. So not talking about the depresso bean. I'm just talking about in general, right? You have something you really like to do, especially when it comes to those of us who have an aspiration. Aspiration? Is that the right word? I feel like I'm saying like the medical term aspirate. Aspiration? Is that the right word? Now I feel like I'm going fucking crazy. Anyways, I've been told a lot lately that I say random words completely out of their original context, and that's probably because I picked them up as context clues, not because I actually knew what they meant. Anyways, for those of us who have goals for something bigger than what we're currently participating in, when you feel comfortable in the thing that you're currently participating in, sometimes you can lose a lot of the motivation and inspiration to do the other thing, right? A lot of small business owners, a lot of actors, a lot of, musical theater people, a lot of artists in general have some other side gig to pay the bills while they're building whatever it is they want to build. Creators, unless they hit the lucky strike, if you will, a lot of them start off doing other things and in the hopes that they'll grow big enough that they can eventually walk away from those things. One of the creators that comes to mind in my head right now is a creator. Her name is Volpixie. She was, a full-time social worker and is now a full-time creator, which is awesome. But also, not all of us can just become creators in a lightning flash, right? She's an example of that. And I really struggled and have struggled over the last 4 or 5 years with balancing it, but also gaining that motivation and inspiration when I'm not surrounding myself with that environment. I specifically have to be an engineer who is very technical, very ones and zeros during the day, losing any resemblance of creativity because it's all about standard operating procedures and following the process and top down and all corporate lingo that you never want to hear ever again when you live in that world. I have to do that for 10 hours a day to then turn around at the end of the day and try to turn on the creativity is not something I do well. I feel like it all drains out of me, and then I go to look at, my edit or thumbnails or creating short form content for TikTok even. And yes, there is something to be said about strike while the iron's hot. Be creative on the weekends. Don't do all your filming on different days. At some point though, I still have to do things like edit and create thumbnails and write scripts during the week. I can't get it all done from Friday to Sunday and still touch grass every now and again. And so that has led a lot to being very demotivated. And I think even with fitness, this is true. When you're doing something you're not in alignment with, that motivation problem becomes significantly larger. And I'm not in alignment with my day job. So I definitely very rarely have motivation to do my day job. I would much rather, spend all my PTO and go play. But I also struggle with doing things like filming in public. It's not because I'm embarrassed of doing it. It's because I want to enjoy the moment, especially when I'm with other people. I want to enjoy just being with those people. By myself, I don't mind pulling out the gimbal and everything else. But even recently, I spent a day at Epic with my cousin and her family. I brought the gimbal into the park. It was in my bag. I brought my mics into the park because I was going to run around and, show our bar crawl around the world because it was chaos. It was absolute chaos on my part because as I got more intoxicated throughout the night, the more I started thinking about her daughter at home and just spending money. I, bought her a Princess Peach power-up band, and I ran over and got her the light-up Light Fury wings, and I was chaos. And it would have been a fun vlog for this channel specifically. I didn't pull my camera out. Well, that's a lie. I took one photo that entire day. What was that photo of? Other than photos of beverages. Because I did take this sounds ridiculous. I took a couple photos of drinks that I had, but the only photo I took a video of the burning blade catching on fire because I love burning blade. And I took a photo and I put it on TikTok stories of my cousin and I in line or going through the pre-show for Monsters Unchained. Because I love the Igor line, "You delightful freaks." And we had just interacted with Igor before we went and did that. We said we were going to go say hi to him. Anyway, I love all the character interactions at Epic, which is why I want to go back to Epic by myself. I want to film and just wander around and be by myself, and that's ironically, despite the fact that it will require me to spend money, Epic is on my wheel of places to work on a Friday. It is only on there once, and once I do it, right, I have to clear out the whole rest of the wheel before I do that again. But it is on there because I want to go and film, because working at Epic could mean filming. It could mean going on an adventure. And I won't, run around and drink all day, obviously, when I do that. But I will, go interact with characters and go have a drink or two maybe at Burning Blade and things like that. I will film. I will take photos even, maybe take my camera over. I told my cousin that when they come back in November, if it's cold enough, I will bring my toothless onesie that I have so that I can run around as dragons with her 6-year-old in the Isle of Burke. And we can go meet Toothless together as the dragons. That's the kind of silly stuff I love doing, and that's what's inspiring me now. I'm finding the things that I love again and not caring so much what other people think. That motivation came out of the motivation I have now to write, to create content, to not coach, came out of realigning myself with my mission. Do I want to help gamers lose weight? Yes, I do. But honestly, I want to do it my way. I don't want to sell. I don't want to give tips. And I'm just going to share my life here on my TikTok, on my other YouTube channels. I'm going to share making gaming challenges or fitness challenges out of gaming. I'm going to share reviews of different fitness games. I'm going to share whatever the fuck I can. I'm going to share it. On the short form, I'm going to have one TikTok. One. Not several, one. Where I share clips from this podcast, where I share vlog stuff, where I share just my life. And that has brought back a lot of motivation. Another one of the things that, ironically, this sounds so stupid. This one is, superficial and stupid, but these kinds of things do help me. It's helped me with my streaming and things like that. When I buy new equipment, I get really excited and really motivated to do things again. It helps jumpstart. And this time of year is when I get my bonus from my day job. And so I took that bonus and I went and bought a new MacBook. That motivated me to start writing. That motivated me because I had a decent battery and decent power on my laptop now to edit in bed before I went to bed so that I'm still getting work done. That motivated me to go new places to work because I don't have to worry about needing my laptop to be charged in all the time. Charged in? Plugged in to charge all the time. I don't have to worry about sitting at this desk all the time. I can walk and, put on some not TikTok. Why am I putting TikTok on my TV? I'm not. I can put a Twitch streamer on or a YouTube video on in the background. I can use my walk pad and I can walk and edit or walk and create thumbnails or whatever. I can walk and play Pokopia if I decide to buy that game, which I still haven't decided if I want to or not. I love Pokemon. I do. I just ripped 30, more inspiration. I just ripped 30 packs of tie, which is really kind of cool. I'm really enjoying lately getting Pokemon cards from different countries. Anyways, I just ripped 30 packs of tie Pokemon cards. I got really inspired by that to play more Pokemon, but Wind and Waves, which one am I going to buy? I'm definitely going to buy that when it comes out next year and use that for content. But will I play Pokopia? I don't know. Not right now. I don't think I'm going to buy it, but I probably will buy it eventually because I really enjoyed Animal Crossing in the height of COVID. I do enjoy Dreamlight Valley. So I think it is my style of game for sure, but is it my game? I don't know. That I do not know. I don't know. Back to what I was originally saying, though, is when it comes to motivation and inspiration and dealing with just having none of it. When it comes to fitness, you can't rely on motivation. You just can't. And I know this. I've learned this from my own personal self. I'm never motivated to work out, even when I have it literally right in the room next to me. However, I've done silly things, like I have a TV in my gym. Why? So I can watch architects suffer to try to beat Lingering Will while I'm lifting. That literally happened recently. I was watching a streamer try to beat Lingering Will for the first time while I was working out. One way is, mixing it with things that you enjoy. Same thing with fitness. Find the things you enjoy and you're more likely to do them. Inspiration, however, with the creative space, I have felt so very, until I got back into Kingdom Hearts. Ironically, all roads lead to Kingdom Hearts. And Batman. Batman's another one. I felt very uninspired by the work I was trying to create for YouTube. It didn't really help me. And I think I'm getting into a place where the Fit-ish Gamer brand is really starting to solidify itself. And I'm enjoying what it's coming to be. I enjoy trying different VR video games and Switch video games. I enjoy trying to do stupid things like burn 500 calories playing Marvel Rivals. I enjoy fitness challenges while gaming. I'm trying to think. I enjoy talking about Horror Nights and how, what gaming properties might be coming to Horror Nights. We got Resident Evil this year. Are we going to get Resident Evil another house? Are we going to get a Requiem house? Are we going to get Scream? Are we going to get more FNAF? We don't know. But it's fun to talk about. And I do want to talk more about theme park stuff in a future episode, probably next week, but finding the things that I enjoyed in the content creation space again has helped me come back to it time and time again. Because I have not been the most consistent. I also think My most consistent time as a creator was when I backlogged a lot. And I spent a lot of time with my husband back then too. I focused on myself. I focused on my creation. You can't disrupt the formula you know works for you. If you know you're like me and you can hyper focus creating nothing but content for a day, go with that flow. I have been forcing myself to not do the things that I've been wanting to do on a day-to-day basis because I have to do stuff for my 9 to 5, because I have to do this, because I have to do that. I am no longer doing that. I'm going to go with the flow. Right now, I'm in a mood to create. I'm going to create probably 5 or 6 of these episodes all at once. I'm going to edit them because this edit is easy. And then later on tonight, I will probably do all the thumbnails for them and upload them so that they're ready to go. And then when I can clip them, I can put them all on shorts. And then this channel, other than the vlogs I plan on doing, which won't happen for another week, will have all of its episodes for the next month. I want to do Boss Bingo. Will I stream Boss Bingo? Yeah, probably, because I think it's fun. And then I can work on other videos tomorrow. It doesn't have to be hard, and I don't want it to be hard anymore. I want to create content I want to create. I don't want to think about it. I don't want to create content strategies and, monthly. I don't want to do things that I don't think are completely necessary that I eventually will hire people for, right? I don't want to edit hardly ever, but I think being able to edit from my bed created a much healthier relationship with editing than sitting in here till 2 a.m. Simply having a SSD where I record everything and then I go edit and grab memes and stuff on my other computer is the way to go. Not editing at my desk is the way to go. Because I can sit next to my husband in bed when he's home and edit while he's, scrolling TikTok. Or I can sit in my living room and edit while he's still working. I can sit and have dinner with my husband without being stuck in here. Things that I didn't have the opportunity to do lately, and I've been so demotivated to do because I'd rather spend time with my husband than sit time in here with headphones on. When you find the things that work for you, this is fitness, this is content creation, you no longer have to rely on that motivation. Inspiration, I think, is a little bit different. With content creation, you have to be inspired by the work you're doing, but that also plays into you have to enjoy what you're doing. If the current content you're creating is not something you enjoy, stop doing it. I mean, look at another, streamer example, CJA. I watch his content all the time. I was there for him as a streamer. I found him via SMO. Sure, because I found him. The loop of finding CJA for me was very funny. It is not your traditional loop. I still do watch a streamer named Fire Dragon. He was a big part of Fall Guys in the height of Fall Guys, and Fire Dragon participated in the Fall Guys Mania tournaments that Grand Pooh Bear held. Via Fire Dragon and those Fall Guys tournaments, I think, is how I found Fur. And Fur playing hide and seek, I think, is how I eventually found CJ. But I didn't really find him because of SMO. I found him because of the weird connection from Fall Guys and Grand Pooh Bear. So it's very funny to me. Anyways, he has decided as of late that no more SMO. And while I think he'll eventually go back to it for a new mod or, for something that Morph is doing or whatever, taking that stance because he was no longer feeling it is okay to do with your content. And I think audiences need to understand that. We all grow. Playing the same game for 10 years without ever taking a break because your livelihood survives on it is not healthy for anybody. And I love Kingdom Hearts, and I've literally been playing it for 2 decades now, but I take breaks from it. And I will take breaks from it. I'm just really in it now because of all the 4 rumors and getting it randos and mods and things that you couldn't really previously do well with Kingdom Hearts, you can now do. That's why I'm back in the Kingdom Hearts realm. I've always loved the series and I've always had a deep love for the series, but I wouldn't want to play it every day for 10 years. And I don't intend on making that a thing on my channel. I'm working on a video that's like 10,000 steps without putting the controller down. I'm probably gonna make that DDV. It's an easy game to play while walking. I haven't picked it up in a few minutes. It might even be Hogwarts Legacy. I don't know. The game's not important, really, in that particular realm. It's just not. So, yeah, speaking of the devil, when you're dealing with inspiration issues, you gotta go back to what you enjoy. If you're not enjoying the content you're creating, then don't do it. Go back to the stuff that you enjoy. I understand it's a little bit different when you survive on your content, but if you're enjoying the content, I truly do believe this. If you enjoy the content you're creating, your audience will find you, right? Going back to the CJA part, right? He started all this archipelago stuff, got me into archipelagos. He is the reason I got into playing archipelagos. I've done both of his community archipelagos. I've done my own solo archipelagos now. He is the reason I got into playing them. And likely will learn a couple new games, both Kingdom Hearts and not, for future archipelagos. Got into it because of him. And he did a first group one with a group of creators, and it was one of his best performing videos, according to him. I don't know. I don't watch his stats that much. It was just an example that I had from watching him, go from being mostly an SMO creator to trying to do more variety stuff to now, playing things like Isaac, which was one of his favorite games to begin with, and Mugenics, and this Black Ops Easter egg thing he's doing right now. Watching that growth inspired me a lot to change my dynamics, to not put so much focus. And even Astral Spiff's 5-year video that he talked about how he went from, being just a Sea of Thieves to getting trapped in the security breach realm to trying to branch out and do weird, smaller indie game style stuff, but also still doing FNAF and Poppy and what he's known for. But it started with Sea of Thieves, If I start my growth with Kingdom Hearts and I eventually move on to no longer doing Kingdom Hearts stuff, which won't happen, I will always come back to Kingdom Hearts, especially with 4 and potential for them to expand using Kingdom Hearts in the parks and everything that goes with Kingdom Hearts. I'm not going anywhere with that. Going back to those roots, though, has really motivated and inspired me to create content again. I've been recording more. I've been editing more. I've been writing more. I've been finding the right rhythm, right? The right tech to feel comfortable doing it and not feel so miserable. The right content, the right ideas, the right inspiration moment, which was just my husband telling me, well, you've been saying that for 5 years. Be realistic. Well, I'm being realistic. Yeah, I've been saying it for 5 years, but fuck you. I'm going to do it anyway. I've been dealing with a lot of lack of motivation and inspiration. And I think finally making the decision to walk away from coaching for a little bit, because that didn't make me as happy as making content did. I love content. I didn't love selling. I loved working with clients, but I wasn't loving it. I had a round recently of clients that came in via scholarship that were clients that liked to make excuses a lot and didn't particularly want, they weren't the right type of client for me. They were perfectly nice human beings, but what worked for them and what I coach were not the same thing, and that's okay. I'm not an everybody coach. I'm not an everything coach either. And I've had clients that went off and did gastric sleeve surgery and then made excuses for why they couldn't do X, Y, and Z after the fact. And I had some really amazing clients in the beginning. I got lucky. And I've just had a rut lately where I haven't been pulling in the people. And I think it's because I haven't been the people I want to be. So I'm pulling in people that have been doing the same thing I'm doing, if you will. And I want to not do that. I want to create my community first. And then, if they want to be clients, they want to be clients. But I also want to focus more on like done for you guides and programs and things like that, and creating content rather than being direct one-on-one coaching. I do, obviously, I will do direct one-on-one coaching, but I want to take the time and do it properly again before I jump back into it. I don't want to rush a relaunch. I don't want to rush my own transformation. I don't want to be demotivated within 2 weeks of doing it because it's not something that I want to do. I want to be a good coach for my clients too, because I haven't been the best one lately because I've been demotivated. And I want to inspire others to do the thing. And I'm not very inspirational right now as a creator. So that's how I deal with my motivation and inspiration or lack thereof. Sometimes you just gotta create content and see what sticks. Sometimes you've gotta be inspired by a game release or be inspired by a specific place in the world or be inspired by a specific location or a specific piece of tech. In my God, so many tech upgrades have inspired me to restart this journey. And while that doesn't last forever, it does help kickstart because relying on inspiration and motivation time is not going to happen. But you can, in fact, continue to move and create that discipline out of the initial push from motivation and inspiration. And move with the flow of, I am feeling inspired to record today. I am feeling kind of let's go sit and create thumbnails or sit and create or edit. I am inspired to do planning today. I'm never inspired to do those things. I eventually, will have an assistant. For sure. I need someone to keep me somewhat in line. Having an editor will keep me creating the content and then not having to edit it. There's a few pieces I probably always will edit, but you get the gist. When it comes to dealing with motivation and inspiration, while you can't rely on them forever if you're lacking them, go back to your roots. That's my advice. I am by no means, an advice guru, but I have been struggling with lack of motivation and inspiration a lot lately. I haven't been inspired really at all to create. I haven't been inspired to even talk about things on this podcast. I haven't been inspired to do anything other than exist in the bare minimum, and I don't like that. I don't like being a bare minimum I am not a bare minimum person. And I know a lot of you probably feel like that right now. The world feels like it's crashing down around you and everything's miserable. But go back to your roots because getting back into Kingdom Hearts was kind of the initial flame that motivated me to do what I'm doing now. So let's follow this motivation and inspiration and keep going. Next week, we're going to talk about theme parks, one of my favorite things. I am always motivated and inspired by theme parks. They are my happy place. They are my safe space. I'm going to talk about everything going on in the parks right now, all the crazy ride updates, all the crazy construction updates. We're just going to talk about theme parks. We want to talk about things that make us happy and things that help us redefine our 30s and, be Disney adults. No, I'm not a Disney adult. I do enjoy Disney, but I'm not a Disney adult. Anyways, we're going to talk about theme parks, uni, Disney. I don't think there's really much going on at SeaWorld, so not really much to talk about there, but we're just talking about them. Talk about how expensive they are, how easy it is to scam the system, things like that. But for now, I hope you find your motivation and inspiration to go and create and be the person you want to be in your 30s. If you're younger than that, in your 20s, whatever, in the age that you are, and that you get into a little bit of chaos and fuckery today.